Hello, dear friends. I'm Marina from MarsStars.net, and I'm so happy to welcome you to this solar eclipse webinar. Please let me know if everything is okay with the picture and the sound. Also, we are waiting a little bit for the audience to join us. Thank you so much for joining, first of all, for watching this webinar live or later for the people who will watch the recording. This is going to be a very informative webinar, and we're going to explain the most important things you need to know about the solar eclipses in general, of course, this specific solar eclipse and basically how it can affect you personally. We are going to talk about prediction and some interesting examples. Okay, so I hope everything is okay with the technical stuff. Thank you again so much for joining. Okay, so let's begin. We have so many things to talk about. And of course, the first thing which is so important is to define basically what is the solar eclipse, because many of us have heard so many people talk about solar eclipses, lunar eclipses. Many people are afraid, others are excited. But of course, maybe there are people who don't know exactly what the solar eclipse is. So we are going to explain that very shortly. So basically, the solar eclipse is a new moon, or also called conjunction between the sun and the moon. But on top of that, we also have one of the lunar nodes in conjunction with the sun and the moon. Sometimes it could be the south node. In other cases, it could be the north node. We are going to talk about it as well, because it is also so important to define which of the lunar nodes is in conjunction with the new moon. So basically, the normal new moon is a period when you can start something new. This is the beginning of the new lunar cycle. It happens once a month, approximately 28 days exactly. And basically, this is like a new beginning. What's the most important we need to remember? Every time we have a new moon, including the solar eclipse, the moon is invisible at this exact moment. So basically, we have to understand what's the difference between the sun and the moon, and actually what can bring the combination between them. The sun represents our conscious mind. Of course, these generally are the two most important planets, and the sun represents the conscious mind, the moon represents the subconscious mind. So basically, when we have a conjunction between the sun and the moon, the subconscious mind can join or can bring something to the conscious mind. So in certain period, basically this is a very deep internal process. And this is the time also when we need to focus on ourselves, on our emotions, on our ideas, because there is a very intense, very strong flow of energy in one concrete direction. So the sun and the moon are joined together. So of course, this happens once a month. This is important, but not so important as if we have also one of the nodes in conjunction. And basically here is the place to explain what are the lunar nodes and why they're so important. Basically, the lunar nodes are always in an opposition, and they make this event so karmic because the nodes are related to our karma. They are one of the most important indications, first of all, in your natal chart. Maybe I would recommend you, after learning your sun, moon, and ascendant sign, the next thing you need to know about your chart is the position of your lunar nodes, sign and house both, because it shows the right direction for you. The south node shows our past, sometimes can show areas, actually normally it shows areas where we are really strong, where we feel confident, this is something familiar, but this is our past. On the other hand, the north node shows the future, the right direction in which we should take, also our lessons, our tasks, and our mission for this life. This is generally about the lunar nodes. So if you're interpreting the lunar nodes in your natal chart, that's the way to do that. And as you can understand, if we have a new moon in conjunction with one of the nodes, we are talking about something really important happening. These are basically the life-changing events. They trigger concrete areas in our lives where we need to do a lot of things, make some changes, improve something, maybe receive the benefits from our work. Of course, it depends. There are other things you need to consider. But having the new moon also together with one of the lunar nodes is something extremely important. And as we said, it really depends which of the lunar nodes is included. In our concrete case, first of all, this is a partial solar eclipse, which means that the conjunction is not absolutely exact. And in this concrete case, basically the sun and the moon are on the 21st degree in Cancer. And on the other hand, the north node is in Leo, but close enough to make conjunction with the sun and the moon. So this is not a total solar eclipse. This is a partial solar eclipse. But on the other hand, we have a mixture because the sun and the moon are in Cancer, the lunar node, the north node is in Leo. So very interesting. We may need to combine different energies. And also another thing, by the way, we need to remember, the solar eclipses are always a few in a row. So basically, in our case, the first solar eclipse, which is in Cancer, will be on the 13th of July, 2018. Next, we are going to have a total lunar eclipse on the 27th of July. In some places in the world, it might be the 28th. And after that, we are going to have another partial solar eclipse on the 11th of August. So as you can see, we have 3 events and there are 2 weeks between each of them. So we have to prepare that this is an intense period. Basically, the whole period is quite intense. Plus, don't forget that we also have Mars retrograde. By the way, by the end of July, also Mercury will turn retrograde. So actually, the next 2 eclipses might be even more important, or at least more challenging for us to handle. Of course, we are going to make a separate webinar for each of those events. In this webinar, we are going to focus about the upcoming solar eclipse on the 13th of July. You can also subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed, and you will receive notifications for the upcoming 2 webinars for the next events. But this is important. So remember, we are beginning a period which will last, so how much is this? Around 28 days, almost 1 month, with 3 eclipses, having Mars retrograde during the whole period. And after the 25th of July, also Mercury will turn retrograde in Leo, the sign where the eclipses are going to happen. So it's gonna be very, very intense, very important. We can get a lot of things done. Of course, some of us will be challenged, and this is something more personal. You really have to analyze what's happening in your natal chart. And in one way or another, this can really bring significant changes. Now, the next thing I want to do is actually share my screen with you so that you can see how the chart of the solar eclipse looks like, and we're going to analyze the most important aspects, because this will give us information what's the general energy. So is it challenging, or what can be positive, what can help us, what can support us. Really important. Just give me a second. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. And this, guys, is how the solar eclipse looks like. So the exact conjunction between the sun and the moon is on the 21st degree in Cancer. If we have to be exact, 20 degrees 41 minutes in Cancer. I always repeat that this is actually the 21st degree in Cancer. So the main impact, of course, is here in this area. As you can see, the North Node, this is the North Node, is on 5 degrees 53 minutes in Leo, but we have a conjunction. Because basically what's considered a conjunction between the sun and any other planet or one of the nodes actually is less than 17 degrees. In our cases, it's approximately 15 degrees, around 15 degrees. So not a really close conjunction, and that's why actually the eclipse is partial. If the sun and the moon were closer to the node, then it would be a total eclipse. Okay, so let's analyze the aspects between the sun and the moon and the other planets. And I would like to begin with the most exact aspect, which is the opposition with Pluto. You can see here absolutely exact opposition, less than 1 degree orbits. If we have to be exact, 41 minutes. This is a very exact opposition. And actually, this is the most challenging aspect related to this eclipse. Pluto is the planet of power. Pluto is the planet of transformations as well. When there is an opposition, we can expect some kind of struggles, we can expect some kind of tension, sometimes even possible confrontations. But on the other hand, this is also the aspect which can bring complete transformation, personal transformation, emotional, psychological transformation, which comes from the subconscious mind. On so many different levels, this aspect can affect us. And you know that the transformations sometimes can be painful, especially when we also have this opposition. We can expect that we are going to face with some kind of obstacles. We have to overcome something. But one of the greatest gifts of Pluto is that it increases your confidence incredibly. After overcoming the obstacles, fighting with things, maybe struggling with something, maybe going through some kind of pain, after all, you will find yourself much stronger, and that increases your confidence. So focus on that part. I always try to be as positive as possible. We can't deny the challenging aspects, we can't pretend they don't exist, but what we can do is focus on the positive side. So this is about complete transformation, increasing your confidence, maybe standing for yourself, maybe defending yourself, your position, what you would like to do for yourself or for your future. And after all, you can find yourself much stronger. The other aspects that we have are actually two really positive aspects. Because the great news is that there is a grand water trine which includes the sun and the moon. Jupiter, the planet of success and growth and opportunities and wisdom, makes trine with the sun and the moon. And also Neptune, one of the most spiritual planets, mystical planet related to imagination and also creativity, empathy, compassion, sacrifices also makes trine with the sun and the moon. And of course, we have another trine between Jupiter and Neptune. So this triangle here is called also grand trine, which is considered to be the, well, we can say the luckiest aspect configuration. So very interesting combination. Definitely we have some challenges related to Pluto, but we also have the incredible support of Neptune and Jupiter. So I think that we can completely transform something or totally transform something, which will help us to grow, especially on a spiritual level. By the way, Jupiter is also a spiritual planet, or could be, not always, but could be. After all, Neptune and Jupiter are the two rulers of Pisces. I would say also one of the most spiritual signs. So this is about complete transformation, which can bring you growth, which can bring you success in the future, can help you to feel connected also with other people as well. And the water as an element, basically, we have the sun and the moon, also Jupiter and Neptune, all in water signs. So the water energy is about feelings, about emotions. So this area of our lives can be extremely important. It's time to reconnect with ourselves, try to reconnect with other people, get in touch with our emotions. By the way, also, if there is something suppressed, like something painful, something which has hurt you, or someone has done something to you in the past, and you have suppressed this trauma, and on some level, you have tried to pretend it hasn't happened. Now, with Pluto making the opposition with the sun and the moon, basically the solar eclipse sun and the moon, not any sun or moon, this is the time when all of those suppressed memories or suppressed energy might come up on the surface. So we need to handle with this, we need to process that, and we might be healed. Both Pluto and Neptune are planets which can heal you. And we are talking mostly about some spiritual healing, about your soul, about your emotions, about your mind. Of course, in some cases, also about your body. So I'm really, really excited about this solar eclipse. I think that we can get a lot of things done, especially on an internal level. Now, keep in mind that the dominant elements are water and earth. We have 4 planets in water signs, 4 planets in earth signs. The water and the earth signs are related to our emotion, not only emotions, but more the internal life that we have. These are the introverted signs. These are not so, the active signs which change things on an outer level. So I think that this is a solar eclipse which requires from us to change something drastically, starting from ourselves, our emotions, feelings, spiritual growth, and also connection with others and with ourselves as well. Okay, and one more thing I want to mention is that we also have another grand trine. This grand trine is in the earth signs, Uranus in Taurus, Venus in Virgo, and Saturn in Capricorn. And you can see they are all connected with trines, or basically these are the positive aspects. So I think that this grand trine also requires from us to be really grounded, to stay in touch with reality, and also to focus on something practical. So maybe it could be about concrete steps that you can take or achieving something visible. And this is a very interesting combination. So actually, we have 2 grand trines. And this is fantastic. Okay, so let me stop now the sharing. You should be able to see me again. Okay, so I hope this information is helpful. I hope it resonates with you, and I'm trying to make it as positive and informative as possible, and also to explain things in normal words. Words, of course, I have to use the name of the aspects in order to actually show you what's happening, but I'm also hoping that you can get the idea, even if you're not an astrologer. Okay, so we saw what the solar eclipse looks like. The next thing I would like to do is okay, so we are going to talk about basically the solar eclipse in the different houses. So what would mean if the solar eclipse is in your first house or seventh house, how to work with this energy. Of course, if you need help with that, you can always contact me. You will find the link in the description below for a personal report. But I also want to give you the needed information how basically to interpret the new, not the new moon, actually the solar eclipse in the different houses of the horoscope, and actually which area will be really important for you. Thank you so much for your kind words. So, okay, actually, before we talk about the different position, is there a volunteer, guys, who would like me to use his or her chart and show actually how you can understand where exactly the full moon will, sorry, not the full moon, but the solar eclipse will fall in your chart? So if you want me to show you live how you can use this, please write in the comments your date, place, and time of birth, and of course the year as well. And I will show everyone how actually you can understand in which house the solar eclipse will fall in your chart. Okay, so Jamie Nazario, I think. Okay, so actually we have a few guys. I hope you understand that I cannot read all of the charts. So just let me write down. Jamie Nazario is born on the 21st of April 81 at 2:25 a.m. New Jersey, which Trenton, New Jersey. Okay. So now, guys, you're going to see how you can do this for yourself. This is actually not something complicated. So I will have to share the screen again, and I will use astro.com. Actually, I will show you now. Let me share the screen before we talk about the different positions. Okay, this is me looking at your comments here on the right, and this is astro.com. Let me show you actually astro.com, how you can find it. So this is the homepage of astro.com. We are scrolling down, and I like this one, extended chart selection. Okay, I'm giving here edit birth data. So here I will type Jamie's details, the 21st of April 1981 at 2:25 a.m. And here we are just typing. Okay, so we are searching for Trenton in New Jersey. There are so many. Okay, this should be our city, Trenton, New Jersey. Okay, click here to show the chart. We are clicking. And so this is Jamie's personal horoscope. Okay, what we know is that the solar eclipse is, how interesting is that? Jamie's south node is at the same degree as is the transit north node right now. Very interesting. So in Jamie's horoscope, basically, what we need to find out is where the 21st degree of Cancer is falling in her. I hope this is a girl, Jamie. I apologize if that's a mistake. So, where exactly is the 21st degree in Cancer? You have to find this symbol, the one with it looks like 6 and 9, which are horizontal. This is the sign Cancer. And then you need to find the 21st degree. So this is the beginning of the sign, and this is the end of the sign. So basically, we are approximately here at the second middle point. And in Jamie's case, actually, the solar eclipse will be in exact conjunction with the cusp of sixth house. So this is, by the way, one indication that the solar eclipse will be very, very important in your horoscope and, of course, in your life. If the solar eclipse makes conjunction with one of the cusps of your houses. In this case, this is absolutely exact conjunction, but it can also be 5 degrees before or after the cusp of the house. It's also considered a conjunction. So a very important solar eclipse for Jamie. As we said, this is also the second return of the lunar nodes, which is another karmic period of the life of the person. And of course, the most important changes would be related to sixth house. So in a little bit, we are going to talk about in details what it means to have the solar eclipse in your sixth house. But generally, this is the time when you need to be extra careful with your work. This is the time when you can realize something. Something might come up on the surface from your subconscious mind. So maybe the person can realize that he needs a new career, he wants another job, or something which is very intense. Also, sixth house is about responsibilities, being engaged with practical things. So for Jamie, this is the time when she really needs to focus on work, on obligations, and get things done. This is also a solar eclipse which can help to be more productive. Sixth house is about work and obligations and being engaged with other people and what you really have to do. Also, this represents that the area of health is very important. So the person can make significant changes in terms of his health, physical regime, maybe put more attention on that area and find out actually what can improve his health. Now, what we need to do also is find out what kind of aspects the solar eclipse will make with the natal planets of the person. This is very, very important in order to understand basically, are there going to be some challenges or it's more supportive solar eclipse, and actually which areas are triggered together, of course, with the position of the solar eclipse. So in our case, first of all, I see a square between the solar eclipse and the natal Mercury. The natal Mercury is 24 degrees in Aries, so this is a square aspect, which is a challenging aspect. And we can say that Jenny really needs to be careful with finances. Actually, also, we are going to have another square with Pluto, which is in 8th house. So basically, the solar eclipse will activate the natal opposition between Mercury and Pluto. in second and eighth house. So this is about changing something in terms of your finances, realizing what you need to remember or what you need to change, and also your health. So second, sixth, eighth, and 12th house are health houses. So we have three of the houses activated. So maybe the person needs to change something in his health regime. We can really recommend also energetical practices because 8th house and Pluto are related to that. And also changes in the way how the person is thinking, in his mindset. This can also be really important. Also, if we go deeper, we can analyze which are the houses ruled by the planet. So Mercury in this horoscope rules fourth and the intercepted seventh house. So we can also tell the person that he needs to be more careful in his communication with family and partners. And also Pluto rules ninth house, so the person may really change his worldview. He may change his perspective for the future, his plans and goals as well. The other aspect which I see, which is actually the most exact aspect, you always need to consider which is the most exact aspect, is the trine with the moon, the natal moon. So this might be the time when the person can change drastically something in his work. The moon rules also sixth house, so another confirmation that this is very important for the work or engagements or basically all kinds of business topics as well. And health, of course. So basically this is the positive aspect which supports the person. And we also have another square with Mars, which is not so exact. Actually, there is a 6-degree orbit with Mars, so maybe we can even not consider the aspect. I would prefer to use 5-degree orbits for all of the planets, only for the Sun a little bit more. So basically in this horoscope, we have the solar eclipse, Sun and Moon make square with the Moon, with Mercury and Pluto, and trine with the Moon. So here is the confrontation or the challenge. The moon represents the positive things that the person can change. Also, we can expect something as an opportunity for traveling and changes related to foreign countries. So this is the basic way how you can interpret the solar eclipse. I really hope this is helpful for you. And actually, you can analyze this for yourself. As I told you, if you have some challenges, you can contact me for a personal report like that. You will find the link in the description below. So now that we know where exactly the solar eclipse is falling in our horoscope, what we need to know is, as I said, 21st degree in Cancer. Also, you may pay attention to the 6th degree in Leo, where we have the North Node. Okay, and before I start with each of the positions in the different houses, I just want to mention with you that the North Node is considered to be the one related to our future, as I already said, which means the more positive one if you focus on it. So this is basically the lunar, the South Lunar Node is considered to have similar energy to Saturn, and the North Node is considered to have similar energy to Jupiter. So if you focus on that area, it can show you where you can grow, in which area you can achieve success, where you can get something, receive something. Of course, there is a lesson involved. Of course, there is some work involved, efforts, but I highly recommend you to work with that area of your life during the upcoming months. So the eclipse can affect your life between 6 months up to 3 years, depending on how important it is in your chart. For example, for Jamie, we can say that this impact can last up to 3 years because the solar eclipse is in exact conjunction with this, the cusp of sixth house, and also the lunar node is in exact conjunction with the natal lunar node. So if you don't have exact conjunctions, let's say the node is or the eclipse is somewhere in the middle of the house, it doesn't trigger important planets. Maybe the impact will be 6 months, but if you have those exact aspects, you can work with this energy for 3 years. Okay, so that's the simple way to understand what would be triggered in your natal chart. Yes, I'm using the Placidus house system when I make the personal reports, when I make also my chart, my family's chart. I'm always using Placidus house system. Now, for our prediction here, we are going to use the equal house system because that's the way how you can make general predictions. They will be true for most of the people, but you can still check for yourself. So I will start with each of the houses. So first, second, third house, and I will tell you exactly what should be your ascendant according to the equal house system in order to have the solar eclipse in that concrete house. So we are going to start with first house. So what would it mean to have the solar eclipse in your first house? And that's the case if your ascendant is in Cancer. Now, for example, my ascendant is 19 degrees in Cancer. So basically the solar eclipse will be in exact conjunction with my ascendant. So I'm very excited and I expect intense personal changes. And of course, if the solar eclipse also makes conjunction with your ascendant, it's gonna be something really, really important for you. If the solar eclipse is in first house, this is also important, not as important as if you have the exact conjunction, but we are still talking about intense personal changes. So we can say that generally first house is the most important house in your chart. First house, then comes 10th house. First house represents you, even your physical body, how you connect with the outer world, what you are doing, your behavior, how you are dressing, how fast you react to things, or maybe you are slow, or maybe you are impatient, or all of those things can be shown by your ascendant. So having the solar eclipse in first house brings intense changes on a personal level. So this is the time when you can change something. And remember, we have also the North Node here included. So this could be about gaining something, about getting, receiving something. Also reconnecting with yourself. Cancer as a sign is very emotional sign, of course. I think that almost everyone will confirm that. This is the sign also related to family, related to our roots, our connection. So a great time to work on your personal stuff, to change something about maybe your attitude, maybe your behavior. Also, if you want this complete life transformation, you can start literally with your appearance. Throw out the unnecessary stuff like clothes, like, all kinds of things which you are not using. They are keeping your energy. And you, especially for women, you can change your makeup or something like that. Personal transformation, that's the key word. Personal transformation. And also I have noticed that this is one of the words which inspires so many people. I think that so many people are seeking for a personal change. So having the solar eclipse in your first house can really show you a new direction, what you need to change or what would you like to change. And you can get some insights which are coming from within you. This is the time when you can realize something important. So, as I said, one of the most important positions. I see that we have people here who have their ascendant in Cancer. So I hope, guys, you're ready for those personal changes and also you're excited. If we have other people with Cancer ascendant, you can also confirm that. Okay, so next we have the solar eclipse in second house. So using the equal house system, in order to have solar eclipse in second house, your ascendant should be in Gemini. Okay, so as I said, if you're a Gemini ascendant, then you guys are going to have solar eclipse in your second house. So this is the time when you really need to focus on practical things. This is the time when you may need to change something about your finances, about all kinds of resources. And this is the time when you can, as we said, you can gain something. You can receive something, you can benefit from something on a material level. And also, we shouldn't forget that second house is related to our energy. This is also one of the most important resources that we have. So this is the time when you can start something which will really improve your physical energy, will fix something if there is some kind of tension, or if you have neglected this area, it may happen in a more challenging way, but you still need to change something about it, or do something, or start something. So basically, new moons and solar eclipses are new beginnings. So this can be like a new beginning in terms of financial issues, material issues. Also, second house is about the practical stuff, being grounded, being in touch with reality, connected with the earth, literally. So some kind of physical practices, going out in the nature, can also be really helpful for you guys to process this energy. Do we have here people with Gemini ascendant? I hope you're ready, guys, for those practical changes and material issues. Okay, so next we have the solar eclipse in your third house. Using the the equal house system, you should have your ascendant in Taurus. So if your ascendant is in Taurus, then probably the solar eclipse will fall in third house. Third house is about, first of all, your communication with other people on a daily basis. So it can include friends, but not necessarily. These are also all of the people that you meet, like your neighbors, like people who are surrounding you, even the coworkers, even your siblings, the people you communicate on a daily basis. So you can change something about it, how you connect with them, who are your friends, or what are you doing together with them. Also, your way of thinking. This might be the time when you can, well, feel enlightened about certain topics, certain idea in your life. And it might be really transformational, really deep as an idea which will change you. So mental work for Taurus. And also this could be about your education, about information, about knowledge. And this type of knowledge is really practical. This is not necessarily something philosophical, something which you cannot maybe explain with simple words. This is about practical skills, what you can do with your hands, what you can do to support yourself or your family. So you can gain some new skills. You can work or improve skills and knowledge in different areas. That's what can really help you. So I'm sure that we also have Taurus people here. Basically, this is actually very interesting, very exciting position. Third house is one of the, I would say, really positive houses. Because if you learn, if you work with knowledge, with information, you can really use the energy on a positive level. Okay, so next we have solar eclipse in fourth house. So using the equal house system, you should have your ascendant in Aries. If your ascendant is in Aries, then the solar eclipse will probably fall in your fourth house. And this is an important position. This is one of the cardinal houses in the horoscope, so significant position. And this can really affect you in terms of family issues, connection with other members of your family, and anything related to your home. This might be the period when some people will decide to change their home, that they want to, and these are, some karmic, some drastic changes. Like some people can decide, for example, to relocate, to move to another place. So significant transformations in terms of family and home. And also, if we are talking from not a material perspective, but more spiritual perspective, fourth house is the deepest house, so the most secret house. And this is strongly also connected to our emotions and our psychological condition, our past as well. So you can really transform something emotionally, something within you. You can process something from your past. And you can transform your communication, connection with your family members. For example, if you feel hurt about something, maybe this is the time when you can forgive your parents or other family members. You can heal yourself by healing the relationship with the family members. So it might be really deep for you guys. And of course, on a more concrete, more practical level, this is about family, as well as your home. Okay, so next we have solar eclipse in fifth house. If we are using the equal house system, this is related to people with ascendant in Pisces. Fifth house is definitely one of the most positive houses in the whole horoscope. It's about the things that you truly love. It's about your heart. It's about what's really dear to you. And here we can include people. Of course, our children are related to fifth house. Everything which is creative, everything which is like an art and also comes from our imagination and our heart. And of course, all kinds of entertainments, like your hobbies, like the things that you do just for fun, not for money, not to become famous, not to help others, just for yourself and your happiness. Some people like dancing, others prefer to paint or to go outside and, for example, train something, cycling, whatever you do for yourself. Of course, sports are here as well. So this is very positive because also we have a symbolic trine between Pisces and Cancer for your first and fifth house. So you can really use this period for something creative, to build up something, to do something for yourself, and again to work on your personality. Fifth house is also about our ego. And that's why fifth house can really help you to connect with your truest self. Not the mask that you are wearing, which sometimes can be represented by your ascendant. Fifth house is your heart and your true nature. So for people who have the solar eclipse in their fifth house, this is also about some deep personal transformation, something which you can start to improve or to help or to heal yourself. It can be very creative time for you. Okay, so we are moving to the next house position, sixth house, just like we showed with Jamie's case. In the normal case, you should have your ascendant in Aquarius, just like Jamie, in order to have solar eclipse in sixth house. So basically, sixth house, as I already said, I will repeat it shortly, is about your work, your responsibilities, engagement, and basically doing practical stuff. Also, your health, how you're scheduling things, all of those things are related to sixth house. Your business can be included here, your communication with coworkers. These are the areas on which you should really focus. You can achieve something, but of course, here it really depends on what kind of aspects you have. So, are they supportive? Are they challenging? And as I told you, you can expect some kind of tension. Of course, there might be some karmic events, but they are helping you actually to move in the right direction. They're showing you what you need to focus on. So that's why we really talk about karma. Okay, so next we have the solar eclipse in seventh house. If your ascendant is in Capricorn, then probably the solar eclipse will fall in your seventh house. And what you really need to focus is your relationship, or are your relationships with other people. Here we can include your spouse, or the person you live together with, or your business partner as well. So here are the most, the closest people. So not only people we meet on a daily basis, like with third house, these are the people that we choose to be around us. And this might be the period when many Capricorn ascendant people will take the decision to transform something about their relationships. For example, if you have been in an unhappy marriage, maybe this is the time when you will decide to confront your partner, to stand up for yourself, maybe even to decide to put the end of this relationship if that's not good for you. Or maybe you can change your attitude. Maybe you will decide that you need to reconnect with your partner, that you want a second start in your marriage or relationship. So it's really interesting. Don't forget, we have the opposition between the Sun and Pluto. So the other person is also included. So we have seventh house, first house, you and your partner. There is a direct communication. But as I said, the main focus is on your personal closest relationship with other people. Do we have here people with ascendant in Capricorn, like my sun sign? By the way, if you guys have your ascendant in Capricorn, it's really important to find out also where Pluto is falling. So basically 21st degree in Capricorn. The solar eclipse 21st degree in Cancer and Pluto 21st degree in Capricorn. Both can be really important. Okay, so we are moving to the next position, 8th house. If your ascendant is in Sagittarius, using the equal house system, this solar eclipse will fall in your 8th house. This can be a challenging position, but also really transformational. And also keep in mind that there is a strong Pluto energy related to this solar eclipse. Also, eighth house resonates deeply with Pluto. So I think that for Sagittarius ascendant people, this might be a deep transformational period. It may start with some kind of crisis. It's possible that something beyond your control might come up, but you can really grow from that experience and you can transform something. So basically, eighth house is also about letting the unnecessary parts of you die or leave your life, yourself, your personality. And actually, what stays is only the necessary stuff, only the qualities that you need for yourself, for your future, for your growth. So, for Sagittarius, this might be a very deep process, really transformational. Also, from a more practical perspective, this house is related to finances, more specifically mutual finances, actually all kinds of mutual resources. So it could be some kind of serious change for your partner and his finances for the same reason, or your mutual resources. You can make some investments or you can transform something about your investments. This is the area where you really need to focus. And I also want to remind you guys that eighth house is related to everything which is occult, everything related to esoterics or spiritual science, secret science. So this might be also a great period to focus on this area. You might be really excited to learn more about astrology or tarot or some kind of spiritual practices or some kind of energetical practices. And keep in mind that the energetical practices like yoga or Tai Chi, or there are so many different, they're a great way to manage with this energy, eighth house and Pluto energy. So I would highly recommend you. Yoga is the simplest thing you can do. You can literally find some classes online. You can start with 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, as much as you would like to. And you may really notice these deep energetical transformational processes which might be channeled easily with yoga. So a great remedy for Pluto 8th house issues. All right, so next we have the solar eclipse in 9th house. If we are using the equal house system, you should have your ascendant in Scorpio. This is also one of the easier positions because 9th house is very positive. Also, 9th house is related to your future, your goals, your expectations, your worldview, and your belief system. So something might provoke you to transform your worldview. You may realize something really important. Again, it might be like being enlightened or realizing something like some kind of truth or some kind of it might come up, by the way, as meeting a person who is a guru or someone who is really spiritual. And this may really transform your worldview and yourself, of course. So, for Scorpio ascendant people, I highly recommend spiritual work, spiritual literature, learning new things, trying to understand. And here we're talking about, serious topics like, well, understand the meaning of life is, I think, beyond that, but some serious topics, really. Here also, of course, astrology can be helpful, I would say, in every case, but in 8th and 9th house, it's especially recommended. Okay, also, ninth house, by the way, is related to immigration and basically all kinds of connections with foreign countries, foreign people, going abroad, deciding to live abroad, to relocate, to immigrate. So, this is another way that the solar eclipse might affect your life. Of course, you need also some other indications, or at least you have to have it written in your natal chart that you have opportunities to live abroad. But if you have those options in the chart, then solar eclipse in ninth house can really bring circumstances related to that. All right, so we are moving to the next really important position, solar eclipse in your 10th house. Using the equal house system, you should have your ascendant in Libra. And as I told you, the most important position I would say is first house, the next one is 10th house. Because 10th house is all about visible things, your social status, your reputation, your career, and your vocation as well. Of course, it might affect your business, your career. You may decide that you need complete transformation in that area. You want to work something completely different, or significant changes in your general life direction. Very, very important. Of course, we have to include here um, communication with authority figures. We have to include, in some cases, your status as, for example, being married or divorced. This is also something sometimes we can forget, but something triggering your 10th house, of course, something important, can bring transformations on that level as well. Not always, but sometimes, especially for women. So pay attention to that as well. And this is the time when you can transform career. Again, some karmic events might happen, something you need to work on, something you need to work for, but it might be worth it. Do you have, do we have here people with ascendant in Libra? It would be interesting also. Okay, yeah, we have, I'm sure. So important solar eclipse for you guys. Next, we have solar eclipse in 11th house. Using the equal house system, these are the people with ascendant in Virgo. And 11th house is also very interesting. I would say one of the more complicated houses to understand. And basically, it's about, on a more practical level, it's about your friends, but more like people who share the same ideas, or you can call them like minded souls. Also, 11th house is about your ideals. So, what you find really important, so what you're idealizing. For some people, this might be work, for others, might be friendship, children, money, your ideals, and basically what's really important for you. Also, your dreams are related to 11th house. So, you can expect some kind of changes related to that area. Also, you can really transform or change your ideals. Maybe it's about some new priorities, transformation of your values as well. And also on a social level, friends, the groups that you're part of, the communities, the clubs of interest, all of those stuff are related to 11th house. So changing how you communicate with people, changing what's valuable to you, your ideals, basically also changes on a mental level. 11th house is a mental, definitely related to our mental energy, mental connections with others. So these are the general areas on which you can feel the impact, in which you can feel the impact of this solar eclipse. And Virgo is a mental sign, so I would say this can be a beneficial position for you. Okay, so we have finally 12th house. The solar eclipse in 12th house, for most of the people, this is the case if your ascendant is in Leo. This is very interesting position because this represents some deep changes on which sometimes may not be visible. And sometimes it may not bring anything concrete on a material level, on an outer level, but the personal transformation on an inner level is complete. So if you have your ascendant in Leo, I highly recommend you to focus on spiritual work. This is a great time for meditation, a great time for all kinds of spiritual practices, and also you need to take your personal time. You need to spend some time alone because 12th house is also related to isolation. Sometimes this might be a conscious decision. In other cases, you might be forced. For example, you really need to relax because you're not feeling so well, or you just want to recharge yourself. So, in one way or another, take your own time. And sometimes this might be like, spending 20, 30 minutes a day alone, doing your own stuff, meditating or reading a book, but the time when you are not connected with others. These are concrete steps that you can take to process strong energy activating your 12th house. And as I said, all kinds of meditations are highly recommended. 12th house is also related to our karma and our past. So this is also a time when you can work with past events, past traumas, or maybe sometimes even limiting beliefs, and you can process them. So again, the main idea is deep inner transformation, which can start from your subconscious mind. Of course, working with all kind of techniques can be really, really helpful. So these are the main things you should know about the solar eclipse in the different houses. As I showed you with the example of Jamie, you know the way how to define the exact position. So 21st degree in Cancer. And the second step you need is find out what kind of aspects the solar eclipse will make with your natal planets, because this is the way to understand if this is challenging or more positive, or actually which other areas of your life will be triggered. I would also like to say a few words for the aspect combinations. We talked about some of them using the example of Jamie, but I will start now with one by one with the sun, the moon, and so on. So you can get some additional information related to that as well. So first of all, of course, what if the solar eclipse affects your sun? This is something huge. So this is something really intense, really deep. Having a conjunction or challenging aspect, 90-degree aspect square, 180 degrees or opposition aspect, these are the challenging aspects. In that case, you may face with some kind of inner tension within you. It's time for a personal transformation. And you may need to solve something with yourself, like some kind of inner conflict or some kind of personal change which you have to do. For women, this may represent also communication with male figures. For the younger women, it might be their father. For the older women, it might be their husband or life partner, of course. But this is really important. The orbis I'm using is 5 degrees. For the sun, it might be a little bit more, but if you use the 5-degree orbis, you won't make a mistake, definitely. Next one, we have the moon. So, just to finish with the sun, that if you have a positive aspect, sextile or trine between the solar eclipse and your sun, then this is something supportive. So it's easier to change something within yourself. Again, personal transformation, being more conscious about doing something, and also being more independent. The sun is one of the planets which really wants us to be independent. Okay, so next we have the moon. So what if the solar eclipse affects your natal moon? The challenging aspects can bring tension, especially on an emotional level, on a psychological level. You may feel oversensitive, you may feel more vulnerable. Also, you need to be more careful with family members, with your mother, your children, all kinds of family members, and the home and the place where you are living. Generally, we can say some tension is possible. And if you have a positive aspect between the solar eclipse and your natal moon, you can make some changes easier. Basically, positive or challenging aspects, they both bring opportunities to change or even to gain something, but the difference is that the challenging aspects also require serious work and effort and tension. And on the other hand, the positive aspects can bring things easier to you. You can have support, you can be lucky, you can be, generally things are easier and more positive. All right, so if the solar eclipse makes positive aspect with your natal moon, you can change something emotionally within you about your family, about your home, easier. So what if the solar eclipse affects your Mercury, just like we saw with Jamie's case? If the aspect is challenging, we can expect challenges in the area of communication. So you need to be extra clear and concrete when you communicate with others. Also, this may represent a deep transformational process on a mental level, on an intellectual level, new ideas, and they are completely new. They might be, the tension is that they're so unfamiliar to you that, you're like shocked. But after all, this is something positive because we have the North Node included in this solar eclipse. So, challenging aspects with Mercury represent possible tension in your communication with others. Also, can bring some kind of worries, or sometimes, the need to change your ideas about certain topic. And the positive aspects can represent new ideas, new contacts with other people, new communications, new friends as well, and improved knowledge in certain area, more information which you can gain. This is the main thing, the main direction for Mercury. So next we have Venus. What if the solar eclipse makes challenging aspect with your Venus? Well, this is an aspect which can bring emotional tension. It can bring possible stress in your relationships, but also can trigger emotional transformations. And Sometimes actually this might be really positive, but the way it starts is by bringing some challenges. So I always remind you not to be afraid of the challenging aspects. If Venus makes positive, actually, if the solar eclipse makes positive aspect with your natal Venus, then these transformations on an emotional level or in your relationship might be easier, more positive, more natural. So the topic is the same, the area is the same, but it's easier for you to get there and there is more harmony involved. So relationships also, sometimes I think we forget to mention that Venus is related to money as well. Not only relationships and emotions and love, but also our money. So the solar eclipse triggering your Venus can bring financial changes. The squares and the oppositions may bring the need to change something. Maybe you're spending too much, you need to put some order in your finances. Or the positive aspects may bring some new opportunities to improve your financial situation. So don't forget, Venus is also the planet of money. Okay, so next we have the solar eclipse in an aspect with your natal Mars. This is very interesting because it's about taking action, and if you have a square or an opposition, of course, there might be some tension, there might be some possible confrontation with others regarding specific areas of your life, of course. But in one way or another, you need to take action. If there is a square or an opposition, there might be stress, you might be in a hurry, you might be really impatient. And on the other hand, if the aspect is positive and supportive, then you feel extra motivated to change something. You feel energized, you feel like you have the needed qualities to make the right steps, to move into the right direction. So Mars is about action, about doing things. So if the solar eclipse triggers your Mars, don't hesitate, don't procrastinate. It doesn't mean that you have to take immediate action. After all, we still have Mars retrograde, so you need your time. After all, this is a process which will last for 6 months up to 3 years. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to make those steps immediately, but that's the general direction. You taking more actions, doing the right steps, initiating things. Next, we have the transit, actually not the transit, but solar eclipse triggering your Jupiter. If there is a challenging aspect, this actually all kinds of aspects affect your worldview, your goals, your belief system. If the aspect is a square or an opposition, this is challenging. So maybe some of your goals are actually require from you to reconsider them. You need to find a new goals, you need to set some concrete things you want in the future. Or if the aspect is positive, and here, by the way, the conjunction is also really positive, then this is about being more optimistic, having some new goals, but actually they come naturally to you. So you're not disappointed by not completing your goals. Actually, you just find some new directions, new opportunities, new horizons. So it might be extremely inspiring. I think, yeah, in my horoscope also, the solar eclipse will make trine with my Jupiter. So I am really happy about it. And if that's your case, also, you can find some new goals and a new way to plan your future, new education, new opportunities to travel, to see more of the world, to go far away from your expectations, from your ideas, literally from the places you have been. So yeah, very, very nice. Okay, so next we have Saturn. What if the solar eclipse triggers your Saturn? The conjunction here is considered to be challenging, and also squares and oppositions are challenging. So, this is about your responsibilities. Something may require extra efforts, extra work, more discipline, more or better organizational skills. So this might be also kind of suppressing, something which requires from you maybe to slow down things, not to rush, to be more responsible. So this might be one of the more challenging scenarios. On the other hand, Saturn requires from us to be focused on work and practical things. And if you have positive aspects, sextile or trine, you can achieve practical things, long term goals, and actually long lasting projects. Saturn can help you to be more responsible, more organized, and structured. So it might be really, it might really help you to connect with practical things, with the ground, with, to achieve something visible. Okay, and the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Now, in that case, I would say that the most important is to find out what's ruled by those planets and where are they falling in your natal chart, because these are collective planets and they don't necessarily represent something concrete. There might be some exceptions, but generally, what you need to find out, for example, let's say that the solar eclipse makes conjunction with your Uranus, for example. This is like, the generation around the 50s, for example. My father has Uranus in Cancer, so the solar eclipse will make conjunction with his Uranus. But what's important is to find out in which house it happens and also what's ruled by Uranus, because this will show you the area where you can expect some changes, some transformations. The same is true for Neptune and Pluto. So that's the general approach. Okay, so I hope this information was helpful for you guys. I know there are a lot of things. I tried to be as specific as I can. Again, as I said, if you want to have a personal report, you can find the link in the description below. You can always contact me for a personal reading. But that's the general direction, how to interpret the solar eclipse. Again, if I have to sum up everything, I would say the most important about the solar eclipse is that we have conjunction with the north node, not with the south node. That's why I'm optimistic. That's why I think that it may really bring us opportunities for growth. Of course, the solar eclipse is a time when the moon is invisible. Also, the sun becomes invisible, at least partially. So there might be some things which are not expected, some things that we need to accept without planning them, without, maybe sometimes even wanting them. But this really helps you to find out the right direction in your life, to find out your mission or what can help you to improve your life. So that's why I'm really optimistic. Okay, so maybe now you can write as a wish for you, what would you like, or at least in which area you want to focus. For example, and you can write it in the chat if you want to, of course. And let's trigger this energy together. For example, I would say I would like to focus on personal transformation. and personal work, because the solar eclipse falls in my first house in exact conjunction with my ascendant. Okay, trying to conceive, yeah. Trying to conceive, actually, eighth house can be helpful for that. Eighth house is about conceiving. Okay, so I'm sure that we all have our own dreams, and I'm really hoping that you will achieve yours. Yeah, personal transformation, other people are saying the same thing. Definitely one of the most inspiring ideas and words. Yeah, more financial stability we see here, finding the right community, healing from pain. Yeah, and a divorce. Yeah, we all have our own topics, areas. So I really hope, guys, that you will achieve what you want, what you're dreaming. Be extra careful during the upcoming 2 months. Don't forget that Mars is still retrograde. And also, we are going to make events for each of the next eclipses, lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. So I hope you will join me there as well. And basically, we are going to talk about the events. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining me live. Also, to the people who are watching later the recording, you can always come up later and maybe remind yourself. And I really hope I'll see you soon. If you want to stay connected with me, of course, you can subscribe to my channel here. You can also go to my website, marsstars.net. You can sign up there for email updates, and you will be notified personally by me when I make some webinars, when there are new free stuff or new offers. Basically, the exclusive content is delivered to your personal inbox. So if you want this personal connection with me, the best thing is to sign up for the email updates. So thank you again, guys, for joining me today. And I will see you really soon.